Hey everybody, welcome to Friday's lesson. We made it to the end of the week. So we're going to do some decimal by decimal division problems today. Good luck. And I got my co-pilot over here, Slider. Slider. There's my doggy. He's chilling, waiting to do some decimal division for us. So let's get this party started. All right, guys, so here we go. We are going to start doing some decimal by decimal division. Looks a lot like what you did yesterday when there was a whole number out here as the divisor and a decimal as your dividend, but we're going to do decimals in both divisor and dividend and work our way through this, okay? So I'm going to straighten my screen out here. Let's look at this one. So let's say I have 50 4/10 pounds of chocolate. That's a lot of chocolate. How many 1 2/10 pound bags can I pack? So if I'm packing these bags, I got to see how many of these 1.2 pound bags I can take out of 50 4/10. Now, here's the major thing. You cannot divide using the standard algorithm when this decimal is in the divisor, so we have to get rid of the decimal. We need to move it so this becomes a whole number. In order for this to become a whole number, I got to get this decimal from here to the end of the number here. So how did we do this at the beginning of this week to move this decimal one spot to the right? I need to multiply it by 10. So now remember, division is just fractions. So if this is 50 4/10, 50 4/10 divided by 1 2/10, it's just a fraction, right? So if I want to get rid of this decimal, I can multiply that by 10, but I can also multiply the top by 10. This is the same as saying multiply by 1. So I'm not changing the value, I'm just changing the way it looks. So if I multiply this by 10, the decimal goes over once, and I move this decimal over once. So that's what you're going to do. I'm going to leave that over there on the side so you remember why we're doing this. So the first thing we're going to do is go to our divisor and move the decimal over one spot to get it to be where it's at the end of the number. Now it's moved from here to here. If I move it one spot here, I need to move it one spot in the dividend. Here, it's left there. Once I move it here, I raise it straight up into my quotient, into the answer, so I don't forget. Now all my decimals are gone. Now you can leave those lines there, or they just disappear. If they're at the end of the number, it becomes a whole number. So I'm just going to take those decimals out of there, and it just becomes a whole number division problem. 504 divided by 12. Let's divide. 12 can't go into 5, but it sure can go into 50. 12 goes into 50 4 times. 4 times 12 is 48. Subtract to get 2. Bring down the 4. Brand new number. How many 12s go into 24? 2. 2 times 12 is 24. Subtract to get 0. Nothing left to drop. No remainders. I'm done. So 50 4/10 divided by 1 2/10 is 42. So I can make 42 bags of 1 2/10 pounds in order to get 50 4/10 of a pound of chocolate. All right, let's try another one. All right, let's try this one. Let's say I have 104 thousandths divided by 8 hundredths. Okay, so I have 104 thousandths divided by 8 hundredths. The first thing you need to do is make this a whole number. I've got to get this decimal from here to the end. So we're going to move it once, twice to this spot. When I move it twice, I'm actually multiplying it by 100, right? If I move that twice, it's gone from there. I'm going to move this one twice. Once, twice, multiplied by 100, and I go straight up. Now, just so I don't get confused with all of these numbers, I'm going to remove my decimals here so I don't get confused. And then we're just going to divide. Do these zeros mean anything in the front of a whole number? No, only if there was a decimal would they be a placeholder, but here they don't have any value. So I'm going to erase those as well. Now it's just a single digit division problem. Right? How many 8s go into 0? None. How many 8s go into 1? None. How many 8s go into 10? 1. 1 times 8, and that 1 goes over the 0 because the 0 is the 10 that I'm dividing. 1 times 8 is 8. 10 minus 8 is 2. Bring down the 4. How many 8s go into 24? 3. 0. Number is 1 3/10. Okay? All right, let's do another one. Let's try this one. 6 1/10 into 427 thousandths. So in general, it's just like a regular division problem. We just have to figure out where these places of these decimals are. Cannot have a decimal in the divisor. You can in the dividend, but we got to get rid of it here. The only way to get rid of it is to scoot it over one spot, and then raise it straight up. We have our new locations. Now it's just 61, because when the decimal's at the end of a number, it's just a whole number. 61 divided by 4 27/100ths. How many 61s go into 0? None. How many 61s go into 4? None. I'm going to put a 0 there since it's sitting in front of that decimal. 0 times 61 is 0. So I have 4 left. Scoot over 1. Now I have a 2. How many 61s go into 42? None. Still too big. 0 has to go there to hold that place value in the 10th spot. 0 times 61 is 42. Take that 7, bring it on down. How many 61s go into 427? This one I'm going to have to guess and check. So I'm going to say this is about 60. And I'm going to look at that 42. Well, I know 6 times 7 is 42. So what if I did 61 times 7? Look at that, 427. So 61s, it goes into 427. 7 times 427. And that's it. Let's do one more together before I send you on your way to try some on your own. All right, let's try this one. 9/10, so that's almost 1 whole. And let's do our dividend 54 and 5 and 49/100ths. Okay, so if I was rounding this one in my head, this is almost 1. This is about 5, so my answer should be around 5 because 5 divided by 1 is 5. Let's move this decimal first because I can't have a decimal on the outside. So we're going to multiply it by 10 and move that decimal. One spot, and straight up. I'm going to get rid of this so it's just 9. And then we have 54 and 9/10. Now remember, our estimate was about 5. That's what we said. Let's see if we get around that answer. 9 goes into 5. It doesn't. So I'm left with 5. I drop that 4. 9 goes into 54. 6 times. 6 times 9 is 54. None left over. Drop that 9. Remember, that decimal I don't need to bring down because I placed it up. It's just giving us placeholders. It's telling us what's whole and what's tenths and hundredths. So how many 9s go into 9? 1. 1 times 9 is 9. Nothing left over. So it's 6 1/10 is 9/10 divided by 5. Or 5 and 49/100ths divided by 9/10. How would I check this problem if I wanted to check? Take your quotient and multiply it by your divisor. 9, 54, 1 spot behind the decimal, 1 spot behind the decimal. And that's it. I know I'm correct if those two match. All right, so now it's your turn. All right, now it's your turn to do some practice problems. When you look at the bottom of the page, check out the practice problems. And remember, if you have a remainder when it comes to a decimal, annex a 0 and drop the 0 and keep on going until you get to at least the 100th place before you stop. Good luck, and make sure you submit your answers on Canvas. Here's my co-pilot. Look how excited he is about decimals. Slider. There he is. Y'all seen an imposter around somewhere? Somebody's following me into this weekend saying, "What?" Have a great weekend.